Hey folks, I'm Tom Basil, Jason Levine. Today we're looking at a game called Santorini. Now, Z already reviewed Santorini on our channel, but I played it with him and I liked it, and I wanted to delve a little bit more into it. So in this review, not only are we talking about Santorini, we're also going to be talking about the expansion for Santorini, the Golden Fleece. This cover itself, I think, is a special edition. That was a Kickstarter only or something like that. That's really the only difference. The stuff inside is there. This is a pretty big box for what is basically an abstract strategy game.
Yes, it is.
And you were like, when I first set it up, you were going, all this, because it was like building this 3D board.
True, building the 3D board, I said, wow, why is this all in here? Why don't we just have the flat board? We don't need this giant plastic mound and this giant extra base underneath it because it's completely pointless. But let's talk about the game instead.
All right. Now in this game, you have this board. Now this board doesn't need to be three-dimensional, but it is. It's two pieces of cardboard with a plastic thing in between them just to give it this three-dimensional look to it. But each player, and 2 or 3 players can play, is going to place 2 pieces on the board, a male and female of their type, of their color anyway, and then you'll start the game. Now the game is very simple. On your turn, you can pick one of your 2 pieces and move to any adjacent spot that includes diagonal. After you've moved there, you must build a building in one of the adjacent empty spots. So maybe white would build here. So it is actually a rule that you must move and must build. If you cannot do that, then you lose the game. So then maybe blue would move here and place one like this. When white moves here, now you can always go up 1 level when moving, but you are not required to do that. Blue moves here and decides to build like this. White moves here, and now white's going to build a 2nd level. Now on white's next turn, he can't go here because you can only go up 1 level. However, if you were on level 2 or 3, you can always go down 1 level. So blue decides to go here and build one like this. White decides to go here and build a level 2 here. Blue decides to go here and build a level 2 over here. Now, why won't blue put a level 3 there? Because that gives white the chance to do that. So white goes here and builds a level 3. Now, on the next turn, white's going to win, because if you move to a level 3, you win the game. So blue jumps down next to this one here and puts a dome on it, which shuts that down. So then maybe white decides that they're not going to move that piece, and this time they decide that they're going to move over here and build one like this, and the game will continue until finally somebody is able to go from a 2nd level to a 3rd level, and thus they win the game. Also, you can win by forcing your opponent to not be able to move and or build. Now that's the basic game. There are 30 God cards included that let you do different things. You'll put a couple of these God cards out for each one for each player, and choose, and you will have a special ability. Or it depends. Some of them give you special ability. Like Atlas here, he can build the dome on any level building, not on the top level, not level like normal. This gentleman here can build 1, or he can build 2 when he is building. She, on her, if you're playing with her, then your opponent on their turn must move up if possible. So you can set it up to make them move up, even if they don't want to. Ares can destroy a level of a building that he's next to. Then we have Zeus, who can build underneath himself, not just adjacent to himself. This one's very dangerous. If one of your characters is away from an opponent and they move towards them, they can kill your opponent, which could make you win the game that way. The Minotaur can move into someone's space and force them backwards 1. Eros has an alternate victory condition where you have 2 people, 1 on each side of the board you start the game with, and if you ever get them next to each other on level 1 buildings, you win the game. Or Pan, if he's on a level 2 and jumps down, wins the game. And so each one of these is going to dramatically change the game, and there is a lot of these different gods. There's a big sheet that explains what they all do. Some of them have a little flower at the bottom of them, the hibiscus flower, and that shows that they're easier powers to work with than the rest of them. If you're playing with the Golden Fleece expansion, that does several things. First, it brings in a whole pile more gods that you can use. And it also brings in hero cards. Heroes are like lesser god powers. You can use them to even a game out. Like if I'm playing against you and you've never played before, I can give you a hero power. These are one-time use things that you can do one time per game. And there's the Golden Fleece itself. If you play with the Golden Fleece, you will start at the beginning of the board. You will use one god power, and the god power has to be one that works with the Golden Fleece. Many of them do not. Like the Harpies will and the Siren will. It shows you here which powers work with the Golden Fleece. And on your turn, after you're done, you can use the power if one of your characters ends next to the Golden Fleece, which is going to make you kind of move around and maybe keep a character near the Golden Fleece, but you're still also trying to win. So that's basically how Santorini is played, along with the mini expansion, Golden Fleece. All right, Jason, you like abstract games. How's this one?
Well, interestingly enough, as we talked about, when I first saw the board, I said, why did they put this in? Is this just fluff? And I didn't expect something good. I mean, even looking at the pieces are really cool, but they're not anything special. But then after playing it, I said, wow, this is probably the best abstract game of the year of the last 2 years.
Well, to be fair, we're only like 2 weeks into the year.
I'm going to say including 2016.
Okay.
This is the best abstract game we've played in a long time. It is that good of an abstract game. If you're looking for choices, what to do, and a true abstract feeling, but with a theme sort of put onto it, this works very well.
Yeah, now I actually prefer abstract games that look gorgeous. This one, when I first saw the box, like, oh, a bunch of white pieces. But once you put them on the board, it looks great. And it feels very satisfying to stack them and to see the buildings. It's a beautiful game. But what I find fascinating about this game is it's really simple. There's like only a couple rules to the game, which is always the best abstract strategy games. And I like that. And if that was the case, I would probably give it a 7. Say it was a very fine game with beautiful components. But then you add those God cards in, and it like blows the whole thing open for me. Those God cards change it so that every time you play this game, it's going to be different. Because you'll be playing with different God powers and different combinations of those, and they include a lot in the box. I mean, they have even more come in this pack.
Yes.
So you get this pack and this, and you got a ton. But even if they had included 10, I would have been happy. Because each time you play the God power, it feels like the game is slightly different. Sometimes, like, really different.
Very different. And the interesting thing, when we were playing it, I didn't tell you this yet, because at first I didn't realize that it was spatial and 3D and you need to move up on steps. But the game that it reminded me of very much, and now we played, how many did we play of this? At least 4 games of this in a row just now?
No, like
5? We played a lot.
Like 6 or 7.
We played a lot.
Play.
We played it that much. And this reminds me of a game that I loved back in the day, Torres. Remember Torres?
Okay, you're right.
Where you had to get onto different levels and move up in the 3D. And I love 3D spatial aspects to games, and I think that the 3D spatial aspect in this game is perfect. And the way you're kind of stepping up and trying to get to that third level on top of it to win is just well done in this game.
And it's also not that long. See, Taurus is a much longer in-depth game, right?
Yes.
So this takes that whole, I'll go up and, oh, wait a minute, I just realized you trapped me, I can't get over there to stop you. Now, I have not yet played a game of this. I played it around 10 times. I've not yet played a game of this where you could not move and place a building, therefore you lose. I know it's possible, though. But I have lost through alternate victory conditions. I love that some of the gods have alternate victory conditions. Build 5 towers and you win. Suddenly the whole thing is different. And then adding the Golden Fleece adds another level. It gives a power. You take away the god powers, and there's a power that you can only use if you're next to that.
Yes, and you're all hopping around trying to be next to the Golden Fleece as you build up these towers, which is kind of cool and gives it each of the different gods and each of the different powers gives where instead of just playing the game as a straight game every time, now you have different choices and it pushes you. Well, I want to do this, or there was one game where you couldn't win by building on the outside, so I tried to build up all the inside ones, but I blocked myself where then you could just build up the other inside one behind me and you snuck in and got it. And little things like that really adds to this game.
We're currently pretty even at the game. Jason may be slightly ahead on games 1, but each time we play, I feel like the strategies are changing. It's not the same thing each time.
Yes, and it all depends on those god cards that you have, or
the hero cards.
The hero cards, or any of the cards, and I think the cards really add a lot to this
What do you
game.
think about the hero one-time use powers? I like them.
They were cool. I mean, they obviously you want to use it at the most opportune time, so it's very tricky on when you're going to use the one-shot power, but it can be very effective when you use it.
And the artwork on the God and the hero cards looks really good. I like the fact that the cards are big. I'm a big fan of those giant cards. They're easy to see. They're easy to shuffle. Even if you're not a fan of abstract strategy games, this is one I would recommend to a lot of people. The visual appeal is really cool. It's the kind of game that someone who's really smart and they're like, oh, I know all the moves of Santorini, they might not know how to deal with two powers. You're never sure how the two powers are going to work together, or if you're playing a team game or with three players, how the powers are going to interact. I do not think this game plays as well with 3 as 2. 3 is okay, but there's that whole, oh, well, you moved, you're about to win, so I don't feel like blocking you, you block him. I hate that kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't played it in 3. I don't know if you have or not.
I have, but
I'm not a fan of throwing in the third player in abstract. It does imbalance the game, and I'd rather only play this as a 2.
Or 4. You can play 4 on teams, which is also very intriguing.
Oh, okay, yeah. 4 on teams would be just as cool. But yeah, I definitely think that it's a game where you need equal numbers on both sides.
Would you recommend people get the Golden Fleece?
Oh yes, I think that
more pieces, more heroes.
Yes, and plus, it was Jason who traveled to get the Golden Fleece. So any game that has me as part of the game, I love.
Pretty sure you weren't there, but we can check.
The very first card I took was Jason.
What would be your ranking for Santorini?
Santorini, I give it a solid 8. It's one of the best abstract games I've played, I think, of all time. I think it's that good of an abstract game, and I'm not the hugest abstract fan. I like some abstracts, but this one is the pinnacle of abstracts.
I'm actually going to go higher than Jason. This one is a 9 for me. This game is amazing. I am seriously considering, well, I'm not seriously considering, I'm going to add this to my collection. I don't have that many abstract games. I think I still like maybe Yinch better than this, but I'm telling you, this one the replayability seems to be high. I'm really excited about it. Oh man, it's just really cool. I want to go to this city now.
You've never been there?
What do you mean never been? Have you been there?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yes, I was at the Greek islands, and in real life it's even more gorgeous. But this makes you feel like you're there.
So.
You feel like you're there. So I'll forgive the cliff, which I thought the cliff was useless. The extra board where you have to put the board together. I'll forgive that. And I think that's the reason why I didn't give it a 9, I think.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's
yeah, because I feel like I would have just been happy with the board. I didn't need the extra, but the extra is kind of neat here. The extra on the back, as you can see. But it's a gorgeous city if you've never been there. So one day, hopefully, we'll get to play Santorini in Santorini.
All right, well, we'll see. Anyway, until a great game, highly recommended for me. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
Jason Levine.
And you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.